Greetings, this is Griff Ruby with part 63 of my series, Ecclesiology for Sedevacantists, based on Dogmatic Theology, Volume 2, Christ Church, by Msgr G. Van Noort. We continue here on page 185, and it's 2 here, north to the bottom. It's vast membership. The number of Roman Catholics not only vastly exceeds the membership of any other individual Christian church considered alone, but her membership equals or surpasses even their total combined membership. According to the most recent poll, almost 20%, or 1/5 of all inhabitants of the world, are Catholics. And then they have these numbers here. Total Christian population, 817 million, which was only 32.4% of the world. Total Roman Catholic, 484,077,000. They use the bigger range, I see. Total Protestant, 204,556,000. Total Schismatic, 128,887,917. So, obviously, this is how things were on the eve of things. So, what you have to do as you look at all of this now is that, and in our time, of course, that's just not true. It was that way at the peak of the Arian crisis. There were alive, you could snapshot a certain time somewhere in the 4th century where there were maybe, anywhere from 2 to 10 times, maybe more than that, Arian believers than Trinitarian believers. So it was that way. But over history, overall, we still have the numbers. There have been more people who, in all of human history, in all of Christian history, there have been more people who believed exactly what we traditional Catholics believe than there have that have believed everything else you can imagine, from all the ancient and the Nestorians and the Coptics and so forth, and clear up through the East Orthodox, the Protestant Reformationists, and now even, believe it or not, even the Novus Ordo. It may be big, but it didn't exist. When I was born, it didn't exist. That's how new it is. And it may be with us for a century or two, but after that it's going to decline. There may come a point, there was a bunch, but that they don't, it's kind of hard to really count them as that, because even their own people don't really believe or go for the most part. That's why it is. You can go to some places like France, which was the eldest daughter of the church back in the 1st century. And now, well, you pick a nondescript Sunday, umpty-ump Sunday, an ordinary time, as the Novus Ordo would call it. And you could say, go to Paris. And, Notre Dame, that must have room for what, maybe 5,000 people? And there's about 300. You add up all the other Novus Ordo churches, once Catholic, now Novus Ordo, in all of Paris, you might round up maybe 800, to 1,000 people on a nondescript Sunday morning, But in Saint Nicholas du Chardonnay's got room for, well, over 1,000 anyway, and they're packed. And it's a nondescript Sunday. We're not talking Christmas or Easter, where they probably can fill Notre Dame, because there's still a bunch that sit at home most of the time, even when it's right there, because they don't care. So, and you multiply that throughout the country. There's actually, in France, there's more people on a typical nondescript Sunday morning at traditional masses than there are at Novus Ordo, just because we take our faith seriously. So we go. 80-90% of us are typically able to go. And there, yeah, it's not like here where you might have to go a few hours driving to get to it. There's no part of France you couldn't get to a traditional mass in a half an hour or less. So they go. They almost all go, unless there's some, like they're shut-ins and sick and that sort of thing. Whereas the Novus Ordo's attendance is like down to 1 or 2%, maybe even not that by now. Except, like I said, Christmas, Easter, weddings, maybe funerals. So that's a kind of interesting thing. In that sense, the numbers are even with us in that kind of sense too. But historically, the numbers are with us because you consider all those generations of Christians, they believed what we did. And they did not, the Novus Ordo did not exist then. So it's completely new. And even of those who they might count as members, God will probably find that some of them were never really with them. They stayed with us. Certainly they stayed with us in heart. They didn't buy the Novus Ordo beliefs. They may not have understood where the real church was alive and thriving, but some of them have kept our beliefs and not the beliefs being taught through their organs. Okay. So, 3 is geographical diffusion. The Roman Church is spread practically over the entire world. In Europe, it is spread through every country. 39% of all Europeans are Catholic. 230 million Catholics out of a total European population of 590 million. In Central and South America, the Roman Church has practically no rivals. In North America, it is widely spread in all parts of the region. There are 190,000 Roman Catholics in the Americas, or 56% of the combined total population of 337 million. The Roman Church is spread through a great number of Asiatic countries and adjacent islands, though its membership is proportionally considerably less than elsewhere. It is still quite striking, 31 million, or 2.3% of the total Asian population, 1,300,000,000 of its people. It has considerable membership in Africa and Oceania. Africa has 17 million Catholics, which is 8.5% of the entire population of 198 million. In Oceania, there is 2.8 million Catholics, or about 20% of the total populations of 14 million. So even then, it's kind of surprising how much room there still was for growth at such a time as that. And now there's only all the more room for growth because, of course, all of that's been taken over by the Novus Ordo. They inherited what we built, so it's no credit to them. They exist in all these parts of the world, practically selling stuff off. Really, that's what all this enculturation was really all about. We don't really want to have anything more to do with you. We'll just want to say you're fine the way you are. If you keep on sacrificing your chickens or whatever you got, and you'll be fine. That's what enculturation is all about. You see, whereas we are theirs. I went back in terms of geographical diffusion, the Roman Catholic Church, which definitely includes the conservation of its unity in the midst of diffusion, quite easily surpasses the diffusion of not merely any other Christian church, but far surpasses the diffusion of any other religion, including non-Christian. For the Mohammedan is not founded in America or Australia, neither are they found in Europe, with the exception of Turkey and Serbia. Buddhists and Hindus find their membership confined within the boundaries of Asia alone. Incidentally, no one should harbor the illusion that Mohammedans, Buddhists, and Hindus are not divided against one another, or that they would somehow form a united society, let alone a church of pagans. And as I indicated back in installment 46, I remember that bit with that priest who was in trouble. And all this outpouring of love and support came in from all parts of the world. And so that's what's so amazing. Despite what incredibly small numbers we've been reduced to as the remnant church we are today, we are diffused throughout the world because we are the church that is throughout the world. So we made that. That's why we're still there. They inherit it. They rob it from us. But they will lose that in time. Nation after nation will run out of Novus Ordo someday. It hasn't happened yet, but I can reasonably expect that either myself or people my age will live long enough to see that happen, where the Novus Ordo flat out stops existing in places, but will still be found there. So, at any rate, that waits to be seen. We will continue with the next part about growth in the next part.